And in some ways, I'm questioning, like, but wait, don't we have technology for that? Like, why aren't we more advanced here? Why aren't we more advanced with cancer research, AIDS research? Like, hello, but that's my 2 cents. To you,
Yeah,
Ron.
So
no,
I actually
somebody
think
should have
we
a bionic leg by now. You know what I mean? No, they should. They definitely. If we got robots running around, a human should have a bionic leg by now.
Yeah, surely ChatGPT can generate.
Welcome to the We Got Problems podcast with co-hosts Curtis G. Martin, Rhonda L. Brown, and Khalif Johnson Sr., the one and only podcast where solutions get discussed to our community's everyday troubles. Each week, you will hear mind-blowing conversations and actionable tips and strategies that you can implement in your daily life to become more effective. We got problems and we got solutions.
All right, you guys, welcome to the show. This is We Got Problems, the podcast. I'm Curtis G. Martin here with my co-host Rhonda L. Brown,
Hey everybody.
Khalif Johnson Sr.,
Peace, y'all. How y'all doing?
and Lashika Phillips.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, you guys, and today we're going to be talking about transforming sickle cell care, the promise of gene therapy for our community. And Trash, we're going to hand this one over to you, my brother.
Okay, cool. This episode came about because I was combing the internet and I saw an article about them using genetics and twisting your gene genetics to see if they can get rid of the sickle cell gene out of your genes. So with the rapid advancements in sickle cell treatment technology, there are growing concerns about what is ethical. Do you believe in our pursuit for medical innovation? There are aspects of it that we might be taking technology too far.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna jump in and say, yeah. I have to be shown, right? Like, you know, they say over the years that different things happen. And you remember how people used to live forever? I follow this one guy, and he talked about how our DNA structure was changed. The reason why we only get 100, 120 years now, if we get that right. But I think sometimes, man, we're going a little too deep. Like, even when you think about the new technology they tried to use with the vaccines, right? Like, what is this technology and what is it doing to people, right? Like, are we studying the after effects of some of this stuff that they might do, right? Like, I'm for testing. If somebody want to guinea pig out, right, that's what people do. Like, I'm willing to, like if something's wrong with me and there's no fix and they have this new something and I want a shot at life, yeah, I'm gonna try it out. If it works, are we documenting? If it don't work, are y'all documenting what happened to me, the reason this shit didn't work, right? Like people got the vaccines or certain vaccines, right? And now they having blood clots in their bodies. And are we studying this stuff when we hear about it? Right? That's my concern. And so I would say almost some of this technology going too far, too quick, because there's not enough study.
Yeah,
What about you, Rhonda?
Okay.
Oh, Lashika, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I'm
Lashika, you up next. Go ahead. Go ahead. You ready to rumble? Get in there. Come on.
No, I was just saying that I agree. And y'all know I love technology. I want to see it everywhere and implement it in all things. But I think in some aspects, I feel like it's going too far. And then there's some ways I feel like it's not going far enough, right? When I think about, and I don't know why this comes to mind, but I think about amputees. I think about people who have prosthetic limbs and just thinking about where we are in society. And I just think that we haven't advanced more, that we aren't able to do more, just from what we've learned in building prosthetics. Like, I don't know. I feel like I'm in the middle. Yes, in some ways too far. And in some ways I'm questioning, like, but wait, don't we have technology for that? Like, why aren't we more advanced here? Why aren't we more advanced with cancer research, AIDS research? Like, hello, but that's my 2 cents. To you, Ron.
So I actually think
should have a bionic leg by now. You know what I mean? No, they should. They definitely. If we got robots running around, a human should have a bionic leg by now.
Yeah, surely ChatGPT can generate.
You know, I did see something the other day where somebody had invented a prosthetic hand that
Was that
interprets
the African
sign
kid?
language. Huh?
I thought it was an African kid. I saw an African kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah,
wow.
Yep.
yeah.
But I think that they do go too far with some things and not far enough with others. But like you were saying, Sheikah, they should have, cancer should be taken care of, AIDS should be taken care of, all of that, which it is, but they wouldn't be making money.
See, that's
So they
that's
can't put
the
it
sad
out there
part.
like that.
So you see how Chat GPT growing so fast? Because
Yeah.
it's open source.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's open source. So if your cancer research was open source, we'll get a cure. Because everybody can jump in where you left off at. Somebody might take it a different direction where you don't see the path, but they do, and they take it a different direction. And then now you can jump in front of them and go again. Right? Like we trying to make money
But
off of everything.
not us.
Yeah,
Certain
you
people are
caught out.
making money off of everything. It's the same people making money off of everything. And that's where you don't see the advancements. Like, dang, you ain't got a cure for cancer yet. Like, out of all these years, like everybody has cancer now, but you don't have they have plenty of clues on how to cure it.
But
Yeah,
see, with this one though, with sickle cell in particular, this has been traditionally a drug that is affecting the melanated community at a higher rate than any other community out there. So when you say, are they taking the time to take the technology and put it into this in particular disease? Like they're putting it into the cancer, like they're putting it into the AIDS, like they're putting it into the diabetes research. Like we said, we have a dialysis clinic on every corner around in our neighborhood. But are they putting the same research and the same technology into the research of a disease that traditionally affects our community with people who look like us? Or is this one of those diseases that says, well, it ain't our problem? They kind of shun it on and go to the ones that it's gonna help their grandmas and they aunties. So you know what I
Yeah.
mean? They don't have as much of a sense of urgency when
Right.
when it comes to the technologies and the research and the studies that is being done, because it's basically affecting our kids and our mothers and our aunties and our grandmothers. So they don't put any value behind it. So what is the value they put on our community?
hey, this kind of crazy, man, because y'all touching on something that's kind of close. My mom's has that trait, and then my sister just found out she does, and I haven't been tested.
Okay.
Right, my sister just found out, and then we was just talking about like shit. That might be a reason you always cold. You know what I'm talking about? Like a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
with sickle cell are always cold. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know.
So see, that's something that we don't even talk about unless it's somebody in our family and they get hit with it. And we all have somebody in our family that we're closely related to that's been infected in some way, form, or fashion. If not, it's been a classmate that we've lost to it at an early age, and it just didn't make any sense at that young of age that this person passed away. And then you find out what they passed from, and it's sickle cell. And it's like they body basically start attacking them.
So you know how we were talking earlier about how stuff is in the diet, right? And I don't know much, but one of the rappers, what was his name? Oh shit!
Not Kodak Black. Who's
No, not go that. But anyway, this guy he had sickle cell, and he talked about how he went vegan, changed his diet, and he said he was in the hospital a couple of times a month. And he said after he changed his diet, he never went to the hospital again. And then he ended up passing, right, and dying in the hospital. And most people think, oh, he must have had his flare up, right? But if you go look at what he died, and I didn't go deep enough to like really can 100% say this what he died from, but this is some of the stories that was out there that he died from swallowing an egg.
what?
in the hospital. Yeah. Like, so was he killed? Right? You know what I'm talking about? So he was one of them guys that had started speaking against the government. One of them rappers that they wouldn't let pass through no more because he was almost like a Tupac.
Mm.
Right. Well, he was speaking health. He was speaking awareness. He even came out and said that, I want to say it's him. I'll check. But he came out and said that the police came to him and wanted him to put a gun in Puffy's car, right? So they can arrest Puffy.
Mm.
And he, of course, didn't. And you know what I mean? But he was going against the system.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden he dies of a so-called egg. I know I'm taking the sickle cell way to something else, but he supposedly
Okay, I stay on task. Okay, but okay. So let's ask this question: how can we ensure that everyone in our community has equal access to these new innovative technologies? Like, how do we get access to it? Now the technology is out and they have the technology that this could potentially save lives. How do our men and our women have access to this technology?
I mean, I think we have to. We kind of goes back to a conversation that we had on a different episode, but I think it's going to start with community awareness, and I don't know what that looks like, and it might depend on the community, right? In some communities, it may be best to have information at a certain community center. I'm still making this up because obviously I don't know every melanated community in the country that needs to hear this information. But I think it has to be an intentional, thoughtful approach slash campaign. And it can't be one size fits all. We can't say the way that we're approaching people in Chicago is the same way that we're going to approach people in Nashville or Oakland or Washington, D.C. It's just not the same demographics. It's just not the same. So I just think that it has to be, like I said, an intentional approach for mass community awareness.
So, with that being said, would you recommend that each community have their own program set up specifically for that community? Would you think that'll work?
Possibly, but I think it would just depend on various communities, right? Because I think some communities may not be on board, or they don't want that, or they feel like that they don't need that. And so, what's the point of putting up a center or putting efforts and energy into an initiative and nobody's going to support or be involved? That's why I think it has to be it can't be a one size fits all. You know.
But with that, but when you look at it like that, that
Mhm.
means that it has to be us because we're the ones that's gonna find value in that. Because every other community don't find value in that. So of course they're not gonna say taxpayer dollars should be spent on a center based off sickle cell anemia when they don't have no relatives or no family members, and they said, why should you waste my tax dollars on that? So if we don't get out there and we don't make a voice for it, then how is anyone else?
Yeah, that's true.
But y'all remember when they talked about black people traveling? They had a book that they went by, like where to stop at, where not to be at certain times, right? I saw even when Hispanics come over here, they have a book on what they supposed to do when they get here, what steps to take to get assistance and all that type of stuff. We need to get back to that, having our guidelines, right? A book. We need to get back to having a healthy meal, Sunday dinners with a family getting together and talking about stuff. Like, we got to find new ways to communicate. We quick to talk about kids and being on social media. How about hey, what's something you learned today from social media? Right? And have your kids talk to you, because that's where they're at. That's where they're getting their information from. So talk to them about it, and then now we can help educate them. Right now we can have a topic of discussion because that's where they saw it at. Right, like we just gotta use our avenues better, and having something to talk about. I remember talking about some stocks with a guy, and he was saying, man, I didn't learn that. He said, I learned that in the fire department. He said, I asked this guy, what did you learn in that? He said, oh, that's me and my family. We used to sit down at the dinner table and we talk about investments and talk about this, right? Which do we talk about sickle cell and health illnesses, right? Like what do we
Mhm.
talk about, right? Like we got to start talking about that stuff.
That's
And-
got to be. That has to be something that we bring up at our dinner tables and we have in our families. What about you, Rhonda?
Mhm. So I was just curious, so I had to do a quick Google search on how many Black geneticists there were in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Can y'all
What did
guess
you
how
come up with?
many?
Probably
10.
10.
I'm gonna say 3.
Oh, yeah, it's actually 1,000.
Oh damn!
Wow. We out there.
I
I'm
know.
proud of that.
I was shocked. I was shocked.
Happy to hear
That was
that.
just one thing that I was just
In the
curious about.
world,
That is in the world, yes,
In
yeah,
the world.
in the
yeah, that's
world,
not a lot when you think of the world.
Yeah, in the world. Okay.
right?
Okay.
How many is? Never mind. I ain't gonna even ask the
Go
total number.
down that rabbit hole.
3.
You already know I was thinking about like let's talk about it. How many of it's total anyway? You know what I mean? But okay.
But I
Don't worry
still
about
think
it.
it's essential for, I mean, the youth. Like, we have to get them interested in this stuff
Yes.
because we don't make up a majority of the population, like in that field, in the, research, and because there are so many mistrusts, and for good reason.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have to be in that field.
Uh-huh. So, Rhonda, that leads us into our next question. Awareness of sickle cell in our community is essential. What steps do you think are necessary to increase community awareness and support for those living with sickle cell in our community?
I'm not sure I everybody will want to learn about it. If they're not affected by it, they're not going to care.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're affected by it, that's the ones that want to do the research. There has to be. I'm sure there's like a um what am I trying to think of? Not the I keep thinking WIC office, but that's not it. It's a community health where you can go in and ask them questions. I don't remember what they call them,
Mm-hmm.
but they should have information on sickle cell, how to help somebody, what the flare ups are, what can you do to help that person if they're having a flare up, how can you stop flare ups from happening.
Mm-hmm.
So if they had, I cannot think of the name of it, but if they had them in the communities or the information in the communities, I think that would be helpful.
What about you, Sheik?
Yeah, just thinking about what Rhonda was saying, and I can see that being beneficial. I think, and so while she was talking about that, I was thinking like where and when and how, like how what would be a good scenario for that. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that I think maybe if it's not already happening, and maybe it is happening, and I just don't know, but it has to happen at pregnancy, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I think that having information with various Black doulas, I think would be very beneficial. People who, yeah, help pregnant women and their families, couples. I think that it has to start there, right? Because I think that if we wait to inform and educate people once the baby is born, I think that now we're being reactive and we can be proactive, trying to be informative in that other way. Like I said, with doulas, clinics, hospitals, even HBCUs. We were talking about HBCUs a minute ago. Um, I just think I feel like I keep repeating myself, but it has to be an intentional effort. It cannot be this cookie cutter. We have $1 million, so we're gonna get X amount of flyers, distribute those in X amount of cities, and it can't be that way. It has to be more like, okay, so we're looking at Utah. I'm still making this up because I don't know why I said Utah, but whatever. So we're looking at Utah, right, or whatever. And
Uh-huh.
this community is this way, and so what makes sense for this community? That's what I think is gonna be beneficial. And again, don't know why I say Utah, but whatever.
What about you, Kurt?
Oh, you.
I was totally gone, bro. I'm reading something about the sickle cell and watching how it's passed down, so I kind of
Oh,
got
Mhm.
lost on the question.
well,
But
tell us what you learned.
so a father and a mother, if the father has the trait,
Yeah.
Mhm.
um, you really pretty much your kids might not have it. They can have the trait, but they won't get sickle cell
Mhm.
disease. But if both of them have the trait, then it could possibly show up or not as
Mm,
disease
Mhm.
or trait. It's kind of crazy watching it. Like looking at kid got it from his father, he has the trait. One kid got it
Mhm.
from the mother, still has the trait. One kid was totally unaffected, and then one picked it up, the trait from both sides.
wow.
So they come up with the disease.
Mm.
But anyway, it just kind of took me down a rabbit hole. And then they have percentages on like if which one have it, what chances are that they gonna have it. So
Mm.
I'll share that article too.
Yeah, share that article.
Okay. As a business, what role do you think financial literacy plays in helping families and individuals manage the costs and care that's associated with the sickle cell disease? Kurt, since you was the last one, I saw right after. It was perfectly aligned.
Yeah, honestly, I was like, shit, where the hell Trash getting these questions from? but, so you say financially?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of torn with that. You said read the question again. I'm sorry.
Okay. As a businessman, what role do you think financial literacy plays in helping families and individuals manage the costs and the care associated with the sickle cell disease?
I don't know. That's rough. I think once you, as a businessman, having money and providing for your family, creating wealth, you begin to start talking about health more because you start learning that health is wealth. Um, I think it go in to start getting tested, start making sure your kid's okay. I think being financially stable, you start looking at ways to generate money. So insurance is one of them, and then insurance is going to look at how healthy you are, the cost of your insurance, to where the more money you have, I think. Put you in a place to where you're being much more healthier. I hope that kind of went there, but
Yeah, it
uh,
did.
that, that, that,
It
that,
kind of gave us a glimpse. What about you, ladies? Rhonda, what do you think?
So obviously, if you know you or your child has sickle cell, like you obviously got to plan for it because you never know when you're going to get a flare up. So you
Mhm.
can't, well, you shouldn't be living paycheck to paycheck. I know, most of the time in our community that's almost impossible not to do. But there's things that you can do to plan ahead, just put a little away at a time in case you have to miss work cuz like I say, you never know when a flare up will happen and how long it'll last.
Ashika, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I was just sitting here thinking, only because I knew you were going to call on me next, I would have been Googling. But now I want to know, is there I'm sure there is, the Sickle Cell Foundation, right? And so where I'm going at with that is, because your question is about financial literacy and how that plays a role and all of that. And I think that yes, we can, it'd be great if people are planning ahead and doing what they need to do in terms of being prepared for a flare up or having their ducks in a row, if you will, to be tested and to keep their medication and all of that. But I also think with the financial literacy part, knowing what your options are, having options actually. So I think a part of that is knowing where resources are. There, I'm sure there is have to be some type of a sickle cell outreach or a sickle cell something in various communities that can help people financially, possibly, right? Um, but I don't know. That's a really great question because I almost feel like um, folks who are dealing with sickle cell, and if it's really bad, the financial literacy, I'm sure it's probably not something that's top of mind for them. So I
It,
think that's where knowing about other resources can be very, advantageous. So now I want to go down a rabbit hole in a little bit.
all right, check into Vector 90. That was a program the late Nipsey Hussle was heavily involved in before his passing. And it was a program designed for our community to help our community. And that was a real big project. And that was kind of that was one of the things that people don't realize how much we lost when we lost him. We
Yeah.
lost him. He was really focused on building our community in a different way. But that was one of the programs that he was really heavily involved in working on, and that was near and dear to him. That
Do you have
is done.
do you have
Vector
numbers
90.
on sickle cell? Do you know like how many people are they estimate have sickle cell today? And like, is it 100? Is it? I mean, I know they say it's predominantly Black people, but I wonder what percentage of that number is actually, identifies as Black, African American, melanated. Just curious.
Hmm. I don't have them off top. I think my brother Curtis is over there with the big keyboard typing it. All right, Kurt, you got it.
Yeah,
Oh,
it says it affects more than 100,000 people in the United States and 20 million people worldwide. The actual
cool.
disease.
20 million worldwide. So that means
Worldwide.
that it's not just hitting us here; it's worldwide.
So look, this was crazy though. 1 in 13 blacks has the trait, or babies are born with the trait. So just think when two of them hook up, then they can put down the disease.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Can one of y'all read a quick definition so that people understand what is sickle cell? I'm sure a lot of people have heard about it, but y'all have a quick definition that we can share with the people. 'Cause y'all don't want me to define it.
Go ahead, define the shit. I want you to hear your version, and then Rhonda, maybe you can read
Uh-oh.
the
Uh-oh.
or
So
Curtis.
I actually have the numbers for well, kind of the numbers for sickle cell and other populations. So Caucasians, 1 in every 58,000.
Oh wow,
Right.
wow.
Hispanics, 1 in every 1,100 get it.
Okay.
No, Hispanics from Eastern states. Hispanics from Western states is 1 in every 32,000.
Hmm.
Wow.
Asians is 1 in every 11.5 thousand.
Hmm.
And Native Americans, 1 in every 2,700.
Hmm.
And we are 1 in 13.
Wow, that's shocking.
It
Yep.
is.
All
So
right. All right, here we go with the next one. What is sickle cell? What is it? Sickle cell is an inherited condition that is passed down from your parents the same way people get the color of their eyes, skin, and hair. There's no way to catch sickle cell. It is not contagious. Sickle cell begins with the hemoglobin, the part of the red blood cell that carries oxygen. People with sickle cell have a type of hemoglobin that when it releases oxygen, it clumps together on a side of the red blood cell, causing the cell to sickle or become banana shaped. Sickle cell affects about 100,000 people in the United States alone. People of African American descent make up 90% of the population with sickle cell in the U.S. It also affects people of Hispanic, South Asian, South European, and Middle Eastern ancestry, as Rhonda said.
Wow.
wow. So let me ask you this: with the definition being said, what are your thoughts? How can we balance the need for advance in sickle cell treatment with the maintaining of ethical standards? Because now we're talking about going into the DNA of people. Because, like you said, it's passed down by genes and trait. It's not something that you're just gonna catch. It's not a disease that's airborne. It's passed down in your genes. So now they're talking about going and altering your genes in a laboratory to go ahead and say now you don't have the trait. Is that ethical or is it going too far? What's your thoughts on that?
My initial thought is if you go in, you change the DNA, you're not just changing that one thing. Every action has a reaction. What are you what are you gonna get? Okay, let's say I went in, they went in, changed the DNA. I don't have sickle cell, but now what? What else don't I have, or what extra do I have?
Mm.
Or am I even gonna be? I don't even want to say human, but it like what are you doing?
Yeah.
So you're saying all technology ain't good technology, and this one sounds. But hold on. But now this could effectively save someone's life and save someone from misery. And if you're someone that's going through this disease, do you say that I'm gonna try anything I can to get rid of this pain?
So if you're going to try anything that you can to get rid of the pain, if it has been proven that diet will help curb the attacks, that would be the first thing I would start with.
I respect that.
Personally.
Okay, I
But
respect that.
I don't have it. I'm not in, like, I don't sit in pain. I know it's got to be
I'm just
excruciating
asking from the
pain,
ethical
but
standpoint. What's your
yeah,
thoughts on it? Is it ethical? You saying
I
no, it's not ethical because you're going into the DNA and splicing it, and you don't know what else you're changing. But for a person living with it, what they think is ethical. What do you think, Lashika?
I'm trying to get to my unmute click. Man, I'm so torn. I'm so torn because I know people who have suffered from sickle cell. I can remember when I was pregnant with my daughter over 30 years ago. I remember having to be tested for that because her father carried the trait, and I believe his both of his parents carried the trait. And so there are people in his family that still suffer. My very first, like, very close childhood friend from middle school, passed away before we made it to high school because of sickle cell. I imagine that her and her mom would say, screw ethics. I'll be able to have this pain, you know? So it's really hard. And it's really hard to say if you haven't worn those shoes. Um, so I'm just gonna say it's hard to answer. Come back and ask me another time, or I'm just gonna stick with that's hard for me to answer that.
I can tell you this though. Me just looking at, like, I'm sitting here reading about shit as we keep talking, right?
Uh-huh.
And where did this shit come from?
Uh-huh.
Oh, where
You
did it
you
come
you know what I'm saying? We so genetically strong, and they have tested things on us in the past. So
So
where did
you
this
don't
come
have a
from?
good history with us, huh?
Yeah. Where did this come from? Right?
from?
Like,
Black and
where?
only black people.
Yeah. So now, remember, we had another conversation about you want to test me and you want to hold on to my information and shit.
Yeah.
No, you want to be able to find something where you can get rid of us.
Attack me.
You looking for something, right? I'm gonna say this. I ain't gonna say this country. I'm gonna say the medical field has never done anything to help us and just us. Like when
Mm,
have that been? Right now, all of a sudden, you want to go in and twist one of my cells together. You want to twist some of my cells together. You want to open some cells up and do some shit to them, right? Like only to black people
Mm-hmm.
or people with this trait. So only to one out of every 13 of us and one
yeah.
out of every 59,000 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
So let me ask you this, Kurt. With this groundbreaking technology, gene therapy for sickle cell disease, how could this benefit our community? Like, what do you think this helps us out at? Like, where can we come and actually see something positive come for our daughters and our mothers and our sisters and our wives and our kids and our aunties and everybody who we love? How could this gene altering technology going in your DNA, splicing and changing your DNA, how can we get this to help our community?
Well, I can tell you this, just by knowing the way the body works in oxygen, right? So if it can fix the oxygen in our bodies, we will be a much so we'll be a much stronger people. We'll be a much smarter people, right? Because we know oxygen to the brain, right? Increase awareness, oxygen to the brain, and increase knowledge, right? Like all this being able to move oxygen throughout our body, which we're lacking, and we still considered top tier, right? Like I don't know, it would be world changing if it's a good technology and it works.
Like,
I think it definitely.
okay, I say this, right? I'm a father, and if it was a technology and one of my children came down with this disease, it's nothing that I wouldn't do to trying to make sure my daughter or my son wouldn't be going through the pain that they're suffering through. And I don't know that with this being an option that I would think it wasn't ethical for me. And to get it a chance for it to get to our community, to make sure that a mother who's suffering and their kid is suffering and they don't have the means, I think we should have something in our communities that can get the mothers an option. It's not saying that it's going to be the most ethical. It's not saying that it's going to be the end all be all to kill and cure the disease. But if it's a chance that a parent can have a child not go through something as painful as this disease right here, we can give them a chance and make it affordable in our community. I think it's something we should give at least a look over. It's my only thing. Like, what do y'all think?
Yeah.
I agree, but I also think that we need more of us in the field.
Oh yeah.
So we can start trusting the advancements that are coming.
So that means
all
we
right,
gotta
and
take
you know,
that we have to take a step back. So taking a step back means that all of this starts with the youth. So that means that we have to do a better job at encouraging the youth to even want to be interested in science, to be interested in math, because that now I feel like very cliche. The children are our future. But that's true though, right? And when we say that we need more of us in those fields, well, it's not gonna be us. I mean,
right.
Us in 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, I'm not. And Rhonda, I know your plate's full. Wait, what do y'all? No.
But you know what, Sheikah, I say this though. You say that it won't be just us four, but if us four put out a podcast of talking about this, and we expose it to just one youth who takes this and realize that, yo, this is what I need to be going to study and research, and maybe I don't need to be an NBA player. Maybe I need to go ahead and research something to help my auntie out because she's been suffering from this for the last couple years. And I could be the reason my auntie don't have to suffer no more. Or maybe you have a sister that's born with it and she's going through it. You could be the reason your little sister ain't got to go through no more pain. So you dedicate your whole life to it. So if we can spark one mind to spark our community, anybody to say that, yo, this is worthy of my attention because this is affecting my community.
It is. Go ahead, Curtis.
No, go ahead, because I was going to say before we close out, I had something, but go ahead.
I was getting ready to say, so clearly sickle cell is a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we also have solutions. Yeah. hey, but I did want to say though, y'all, we keep giving basketball a bad rap, right? We always say instead of being a basketball player, be a lawyer. Instead of being a damn gangbanger,
Yeah.
Go learn how to go become a doctor and do some research on sickle cell, right? Like,
Before you go become a Kia boy, how about
yeah,
you go ahead and graduate from high school?
yeah,
How about we start there? Y'all
yeah,
graduate from high school. Please get your GEDs, and
yeah.
then please pursue a higher education, be it in the trade,
There we
be it
go.
in whatever field that fancies you, but be it something that you are
Before
passionate
you
about.
decide to do nothing, be a doctor.
Yeah, before you crash. You know what I mean? Before you go out there and represent a corner that you don't own any property on.
Become a lawyer.
Please.
Hey guys, we have problems, but we also have solutions, and we out.
From the team at CRC Empire, we want to thank you for listening. To stay connected with us, like, share, and subscribe to the We Got Problems podcast. You can find us on social media platforms at Curtis Martin 247, at Rhonda Wrights Official, and at the_trash_vegan_.